Hey friends, welcome to another edition of Big Al's Rockin' Podcast. This episode, I have Greg and Horace from the veteran punk rock band Horace Pinker. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well. How are you?
I am doing all right. It is sunny, it is hot, it is October 1st, even though this won't be shown for a couple of weeks. So you guys
Yeah,
have
doing
an
great. Thank you for having us, Big Al. I appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate it.
You're more than welcome. I'm gonna keep stepping on you guys. I don't mean to.
Okay.
But you guys have a new album out called Now in the Future, and it's on the People of Punk Rock Records label. It's your first release since 2011, correct?
Ye- Full length release. Yeah.
Full
And
length release.
yeah, because we put out the 7-inch and the EP in the past few years.
Okay,
So,
well, let's first talk about Now in the Future. Tell us a little bit about what inspired that album and what we can expect from it.
Yeah, thanks for asking us about it. We're really excited. We just did a record release for it. We got to play the songs live for the first time here in Chicago. We're trying to kind of so if we go back and like if each album tells a little bit of a story, we'll go back to our last album, Local State Inertia, kind of about getting stuck, kind of getting in a rut, people struggling in terms of family or addiction or stuff like that. And so this album we tried to be a little bit more positive and kind of reflective and in this time when people are really struggling and the political situation, the economic situation is even worse. I would say a lot worse than about 10 years ago. We're trying to reflect a little bit more positive energy and kind of where we are too, and like kind of moving forward, having like some of those light bulb moments and realizing that you can kind of move past things.
Fair enough. What's been happening in the last 14 years up to making the Now and the Future album?
I mean, we did so our drummer who's not here right now, he had a conflict. Brian apologizes. He was in Australia for work for a few years. We worked with a few other drummers. We did a 7-inch EP that Greg was referencing on Dead Broke Records, our buddies in Iron Chic in Long Island. Put that out for us. We did some shows around that. We did the fest back then, the fest down in Gainesville, Florida. We did, and then we started recording a new full length. It was supposed to be a full length, but then the pandemic got in the way. And we ended up releasing it during the pandemic as an EP called House of Cards with some really cool artwork by a guy named Derek Hess out of Cleveland. But yeah, we haven't been quite as active, especially just because the pandemic threw everyone for a loop, threw bands for a loop, right? Every venues were closing down, and so this is really, I know it's 3 years later or so, but this is really our kind of this is what we've been doing since then, and we put together a whole new uh, album. We didn't use any of the stuff that we had been working on pre-pandemic, and we're really stoked about it.
So you have a couple of singles released on this album so far. Talk a little bit about those.
Greg, you want to jump in?
sure. The first single was the first track off the record, Call It a Day, which is a
Oh
little
no, no,
more.
the first single was Three Against Me.
I beg to differ, but fine. The other single is Call It a Day. It's from my when we were writing it, I was thinking this one's a little more aggressive than what we had started with. Just in contrast, the first two songs are night and day. One of them is almost on the verge of hardcore. The other one is melodic emo-ish. So, and the whole album reflects that type of material. So there's Call It a Day. And then apparently the first one was Three Against Me, which is also in that similar vein of like the faster, heavier side of things. And we actually, as the band, me, Scott, and Brian, we're torn. We're like, which one do we have the record open with? Because Brian was in favor of Three Against Me. Scott and I wanted to Call It a Day. And we went back to our producer and engineer and said, what do you think about this? And he used his years of, you know, playing, producing, putting out records, and he gave us. And fortunately for us, he went with what we wanted, Scott and I wanted. But in the end, Brian was happy. Everybody's happy because we think the flow is really great. And there's the first song and then the third song were the singles we released so far. Um, I don't know what will be next.
Well, we also we just recorded last weekend. We recorded a video for that first single. So we're pretty excited about that. It was fun. We did some live footage and then some stuff at a club called Live Wire in Chicago. So we're going to be releasing that pretty soon to support that first single.
Right on. Now, your band name, Horace Pinker, comes from a cheesy 80s slasher film. One of my favorite cheesy 80s slasher films called Shocker. So I want to know who decided that this was going to be the name of the band.
So let me tell you, Alan, we were in college and we were having some drinks one night and we were the original guys. Brian had joined the band after a few months. So my original drummer Billy and I were chatting and Shocker had just come out and Megadeth did the soundtrack. And it was a bad film. It was a bad Wes Craven film. Wes Craven's known for some better work, I think. And we just kind of got excited about calling the band Horace Pinker. We decided to drop the name. We're thinking we could name it after our drummer's mom. We're really happy we didn't do that. So we got an obscure pop culture reference for the band name.
Well, I dig
But
it,
we
you
do
know.
not do like horror punk or goth stuff or anything like that.
Does anybody dress on stage as Horace Pinker?
Hmm.
We did a Halloween show. We did a Halloween show about a year ago where we all dressed as Horace Pinker. And if you want to dig up some photos, Greg and I looked really ridiculous in our orange jumpsuits.
Well, my band is doing a Halloween show this year, and I ordered a Halloween rock star costume off of there, and I look completely ridiculous because it's a jet black wig, and it looks like Slash and Grizzly Adams had a baby together.
And I want to be. You have to make. I need to know where to find those after Halloween. I need to see that.
I'll send it to Mike and have him forward it to you.
Awesome.
So, give us a little history of Horace Pinker, the band, not the movie.
So yeah, so I'll start just because Greg joined a few years after we had been going. So really the original lineup was me and Brian and a guy named Bill. Bill and I were good friends from college. We got started in Tempe, Arizona. We just started playing all the time, putting on punk rock shows. We had met a lot of people in Southern California where we went to school, brought out some Southern California bands like DI. We brought out all kinds of folks. We brought out a band called Final Conflict that we used to play with that were actually super cool. And then by 93, 94, we put out our first album, Power Tools. We just started touring for most of the year. 90 and the early to mid 90s, we were just touring constantly. We got to go to Europe for the first time, do festivals. We got to go to Australia and New Zealand. And yeah, our roots were in Arizona, but then by the time we went on what we called an endless tour, we ended up in Chicago because we had no place to live. Greg joined a few years later. Greg and Don are our new slash old guitar player. He's back in the band too. So we have this lineup that we kind of put together around in the early 2000s right now. And we kept touring. We did a lot of touring in the 2000s in Europe. We did a bunch more festivals like Grosrock, like these incredible festivals in Belgium and in Germany and Holland. We got to go back to Australia and New Zealand. We did an Asian tour where we did Singapore, Hong Kong. We did the Vans tour of Brazil. So we've just been really lucky to do all this kind of touring all around the world and really like make friends in places we never thought we'd get to.
That is fantastic. So, speaking of festivals and tours and stuff, talk about some of the headliners that you've shared the stage with in the past.
Uh,
Wow, Greg, you wanna take that one?
oh, I could start from, my history on. Um, the second year I had been with Pinker and we toured Europe, we were on the main stage on the Saturday night at Grosrock in Belgium. And not only were we sharing the stage with people that I was just kind of like in awe of because I had never been in that level of playing at that point. And but then just walking around backstage and walking through the field, I remember specifically it was somebody I knew from Chicago. It was the bass player from Rise Against, who was in 88 Fingers Louie, and I knew him from Chicago a little bit, but we knew each other like, you know, when we see each other. But I'm walking through the grass and he comes walking up and it's like, hey, because when you're in a place that you don't expect to see someone, you have like a totally different connection. And it was just like, wow, you're here. And that was great. But that show had so many. I think it was Down by Law. Um, I think Bad Religion was one of the main headliners. Um, shit, that was 20 years ago. I'm blanking. I do remember
Sick of it all. You
Sick of It
can't
All.
forget.
Yeah. And there was bands that were still up and coming or still hard working on the scene. I remember one of the bands we kind of hung out with afterwards was Kill Your Idols. Young guys, younger than, well, probably my age at the time, but um, and afterwards I would see them still hitting the scene or the Chicago circuit and stuff like that. So that was one of the main things, and through that, we crossed paths with people in different festivals, and it was just weird and random, but always a really nice surprise. So
One
Scott,
of my favorite memories is
yeah,
playing oh, sorry, playing a castle in Austria. We co-headlined a festival in Austria with the Melvins, and we were the melodic band, and they were the dirge metal punk, destroying people's eardrums. It was a really nice mix of bands. That was one of my favorite memories.
Very cool. I see that you have a few tour dates coming up later this month. Tell my listeners where they can catch you on a stage somewhere.
I am super excited to go back to the fest. We're playing the fest down in Gainesville, so it's not like Riot Fest where there's 100,000 people. It's more intimate. It's all the big clubs and there's an outdoor venue down in Gainesville, like hundreds and hundreds of bands. I'm excited to play with bands like 7 Seconds because I love 7 Seconds. Um, but we've played down there before. Can't wait to get back. So we're touring all the way down there. We're touring through the South, New Orleans, Houma, Louisiana, playing Alabama, bunch of shows in Florida. I'm excited also to play with Greg Norton from Husker Du. He and his buddies are playing some of the pre-fest shows that we're on. I am a huge Husker Du fan, so I'm excited about that. Um, Greg, what are you most excited about for the tour?
I really want to, like, last weekend, 2 weekends ago was a little teaser where we got to finally play these songs in front of people, because it's one thing for your friends all like your stuff on Facebook or Instagram. It's just another thing when, like, how are we going to pull these off live? And it's great having Don back in the band and second guitar, and his backing vocals are adding a lot. And so I was wondering when because we had the fest set up for a few months now. We knew we were going down there, and I was thinking for a while, I'm like, we might do this as a three-piece, and we can do it. It's just we have to adjust the songs sometimes and do things. So now that Don is fully in, I'm stoked. I'm really looking forward to getting out and just playing the new songs. And I'm not tired of the old songs, but having the new songs to mix in, it's gonna be so much better to play the old ones along with it. Just fresh breath of fresh air.
Anybody
And
that's in
just
a
as a little teaser, oh, sorry, Alan. Oh, I was just gonna say because I believe, I don't know if this is a secret. I think you're in Indiana. So for folks in Indiana, Chicago, or like southern Wisconsin, we are playing Saturday night in Chicago at the Burlington with some really cool bands, and that's kind of our pre-tour show. I'm excited about that. So can't wait to go on the road then, and then we're gonna go to Europe next summer too. So I am excited about that. That's a bit of a teaser.
Well, that's a great teaser and it's a great segue. Besides Europe in the later this year or early next year, what are your future plans?
Well, the label's out of Canada, so we got to get up to Canada. We got to do some shows up in Quebec, where they are, and hopefully get back on the road and do some shows in the Northeast and up in the Great White North.
Right on. Well, tell my listeners where they can find you online.
We're on all the sites. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. I mean, you can go old school and go to horacepinker.com. But we're on X. We're on Bandcamp. You can stream the stuff on Spotify. Um, all the services, Apple Music, etc. Did I miss anything, Greg?
No, I don't think so. And they all pretty much link together anyway. So if you just were to do horacepinker.com, I think you would find the links to Insta, Facebook, and X all there at the bottom of the page. Um, and since I don't know, they're probably all owned by the same guy now too. I don't have no idea, but um, yeah, it's all connected. Actually, I was working on some artwork for the band not too long ago, and I said, honestly, do we need to put any kind of addresses for anything? Just put the @ sign and Horace Pinker, because if you search that, the band comes up. I did it to test it to make sure. It's like you just @ Horace Pinker, and everything will come up that is, social media related, and you can just pick and choose from there. And there's a whole YouTube channel too, which that would be a deep dive into um, live shows from 20 some years ago. Some of them are just the quality. Everything has progressed so far that you just look at it and go, "Wow, how long ago was this?" Maybe that's just me.
You know what I love? I love one of the old videos from our tour with Agent Orange in Indianapolis. It was a great show. And that video, it's not bad quality. The sound quality is not too bad. And we're playing lightning speed. I love it. That's nostalgic.
Anything else you guys want to bring up before we get out of here?
No, we're just glad to be on here talking with you, and excited to just get out and play these new songs. Like it's nice to know that um a lot of times people say, Horace Pinker, are they still a band? But now that we've got a new record and we're doing dates, it's like, no, there's stuff going on. Okay, we got movement. Everybody's got to take a little downtime and stuff, so we just took a little longer than most, I guess. But we're back and we're ready to go.
Right on.
Couldn't have
Well,
said it better. Alan, I really appreciate you having us. Thank you very much. I hope we see you sometime in Indiana or the
I
that
saw there's
area.
I saw there's a possible St. Louis show, so if that comes to fruition, I may try to swing up that way.
Sweet. Yeah, we were trying really hard. I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know. We still have that night open. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's still a couple weeks, so
Right on. Well, I appreciate your guys' time and I'll see you soon.
thank you.
Thanks for listening to Big Al's Rockin' Podcast. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe on your preferred podcast outlet. Visit BigAlRocks.com to find past episodes, on-demand links to my radio show, links to my social media, and other Big Al shenanigans. Most importantly, please like and share this episode. Peace out.